Yeah, just leave it here for now. Okay. Hello, everybody. Hope everybody's okay today. Man, I got things going on. Let me tell you, I've been trying to get things straightened out here, and I've done a lot of work on my YouTube channel, and I'm really, really trying to clean it up. But it's a work in progress thing. At my age, I got to learn a lot of this new stuff, and I mean, it's not easy. It really isn't. Uh, there's a lot of times just to do this or that. My God, it's scratching my head. And, uh, before I start tonight, I just wanted to give you just some ideas of what I'm going to be putting in my YouTube channel. Uh, Last 5 days, oh my God, I have been playing with that Focus 3D printer, the Odin 5, and I have started a new project. And let me tell you, it is it is going to be a lot of work for this one. And I'm going to show you right now. Let me just give you an idea of what I'm talking about. Okay, just a second here. Let me just loosen this up and turn you around here. And I just have to change this window real quick, or else it'll go into. Okay, let me see here. Now, the project I've started, I found a website. It's called, let me see. These, this here is on this website here. They have the different planes, and they're all 3D printed. Okay, and you see here, it's, that's how many pieces it consists of. Okay, and the one I'm building is a 2 meter glider, which is, oh, wait, hold on. I'm sorry, my bad. Just a second here. Oh, that was bad. That was very amateurish. That was very, very, very amateurish. Let me see here. Actually, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to find myself. I'm trying to find myself live. Uh, just 1 second here. I've been really, really busy today, and things have just backed up on me. And that is what I'm trying to do. And I'm trying to get feedback here on my other machine. Um, but I don't know where to find that Paul is live. I'm just looking. Like I said, I am not. I am not savvy at this stuff here, and it drives me nuts. I'd just like to know where to find them live. Uh-huh. Let me just try that again. Oh man, oh man, oh man, oh man. I feel now I really, really feel stupid. I really do. Um, I'm just trying to find where I'm at on my other computer, and I cannot get my own. Okay. Oh my god. Okay. Oh my god. All right. I gotta turn this down. All right, now at least now I have a monitor. Let me get this as close as possible. Okay, so this is what I was going to show you here, and this is the glider that I'm building, and you can actually see through on this wings here how it's built up, and actually the whole weight of the glider, flight weight, from 650 grams. That's less than a kilo. That's about a pound and a half. Okay, and that's it over the ground. And here's all the parts and how to build it and everything. So I just thought I'd show you guys that, and I'm going to be doing videos of this build and videos of the 3D printing. And let me just turn you around here. Okay, and so talking about that real quick, let me tell you, to print that, you really have to have your ducks in a row. It is single wall, real thin walls, and it has ribs inside. And I kind of got the walls okay, but the inside, it didn't. There was kind of stringy in there. So 5 days of tweaking, printing, tweaking, printing, tweaking, printing, and finally, this is what I got. This is the wing profile. This is a one panel. Well, it's not one panel. Here's a part that goes onto it, but I didn't print it out from the SD card. So guess what? My printer stopped. And when I started again, it's supposed to keep going, but it screwed it all up. So Anyways, it doesn't matter because I just wanted to print out a complete wing panel as a test. And this here, I'll tell you, this is hard stuff. It really is. I mean, this will fly. This panel here, with the other piece, weighs about 48 grams. Not bad at all. All right. So that is one of the things that I'm going to be following up on my YouTube channel. So follow me on that one. Let me see here. Okay. All right. And one thing I don't know if you notice or not, if the sound is any better than it was from the last time I had my live session, because now I have another speaker that I'm using, or I'm sorry, another microphone. And what we're going to do here is we are going to start with Easel. Just get myself into Easel. Okay, so now I'm just going to open up an Untitled one. So today, all right, now, if you've looked in my YouTube channel, if you looked at my YouTube before I start here, I'm just going to tell you what I'm going to do tonight. Now, in my YouTube channel, there, under the live videos, okay, there you're going to find a set of videos, and I'm going to be putting them into a playlist. And I haven't learned yet how to categorize my videos into different things, because I'm gonna be posting a lot of off the wall things that I'm interested in. There's some off the wall stuff, let me tell you. So yeah, what was I gonna say? So like I said, I'm really adding a lot now to my videos, and I've been editing them. Now I'm going to start actually taking away my old videos. My old videos really suck. They really do. I mean, where I was using my phone and it was shaking and everything. I mean, it was not good at all. These aren't much better, but I'm getting there. I'm trying. All right. So, like I said, the last 3 weeks, I did live sessions called Easel in Depth. And then you have Easel in Depth continued at Easel in Depth number 1 and Easel in Depth number 2. So I believe there's 3 of them now. Anyways, this is going to be the 4th one and the last one. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to touch on all the options that you have here and stuff like that, and really just talk about it, okay? Because a lot of people, for some reason, don't really browse all over and click on things, because I think some people are afraid of it. Never be afraid to click on anything in Easel, okay? Never. Because no matter if you click on it and you don't want it, you can get rid of it. And even if you create something with it and you don't like it, you can get rid of it. So don't be afraid to use these apps and stuff that I'm going to show you. Okay? Because I'm going to tell you, I mean, you can make some beautiful, beautiful stuff on Easel. You really can. And I'm talking Easel, the non-pro version. Okay? I used the non-pro version for over a year, from when I started with these machines, and then I've acquired the Pro version, and they're I mean, Pro version does have a lot of extra nice things. It really does. For example, the V tool compensations. Okay, um, just to mention, I did send in a request to Inventables for an upgrade on their Easel window, and I'm just going to show you what my idea was, and that is something that I have been wanting all the time. Okay, now what I asked Easel to do was this area up here. Okay, this area up here, this black area. You know, when you start carving, you know that your carve button disappears, and you have your emergency stop. Next to that, you have um your pause button, and then over here is the most important thing that you should be using when your machine is carving. You should be using this feed override. I mean, you should be on it. Like the first, if you're a beginner, you should be on that feed override for the first half hour of your carving, adjusting the feed rate up and down and up and down to be able to learn what your machine is trying to tell you. Because from the time your tool touches that wood and goes down into the wood and starts cutting, guess what? The machine is talking to you. Your machine is talking to you. If you talk to any professional machinists, tool and die makers, milling machine operators, and you ask them, what is the first thing you do when your program starts and your machine is milling or carving or whatever? I'll guarantee you that the answer you'll get is, oh, I adjust the feed rate and my RPMs. I tweak them to make the machine sound like a sewing machine where you can tell when the machine is liking it. Okay? And that is, and my God, I have new people that are afraid of clicking on things. And when people are afraid of clicking on things, they'll never learn anything. So, up here in your feed override, I've asked people when they've been running their machine, oh, it took like 5 hours. And I asked them, I said, well, did you use your feed override? In other words, they didn't know what it was. Okay. And if they don't know what it was, they didn't watch my videos. Because this one here, the feed override, is something that I pound into people. I mean, because it's like this. If you don't use your feed override, the only thing your machine is going to do is it is going to run at the feed rate, which is right here. And for a standard 3018, it's 150 millimeters per minute, which is very slow. Okay? It's a good starting point because even if you have a tiny tool, that feed rate shouldn't break your tool right off the bat. And your plunge rate should be 100. These two numbers right here should never, excuse me, I had to take a drink. They should never be changed. These are written in stone, in manual. This is something I'm going to talk about right here, right now. Easel is made up by Inventables. Inventables they made Easel. Well, Inventables sells the X-Carve machine. So Easel is geared up towards the X-Carve machine, which is a beast compared to the 3018. Okay? So on your 3018, on your 3018 here, you want 150 millimeters a minute for your feed rate. Plunge rate, 100 millimeters per minute. And your depth per pass, these two never change. In this window here, basically, there's one thing you need to change. And this right here, your depth per pass. Now, what happens here is when I click over to automatic, people that have X-Carve machines can just run automatic because of this. Material. Easel takes into consideration for the X-Carve, Easel takes into consideration the material type. Okay? It doesn't care about size as far as calculating or anything like that. Just the material size, and it looks at your tools. And it'll go, and it also looks at the depth per pass. And so it's kind of like a complicated thing, but when it creates the G code, this here, it's creating it for the X-Carve machine. So your G code is in your machine, but these are your run settings. And if you have it in automatic, which is for the X-Carve machine, you will tear your machine up. I'm serious, really. Because look at this. A feed rate for a X-Carve machine, they have 762 millimeters a minute as a starting point. Okay, and a plunge of 228.6. That doesn't, the feed rate is the one that I'm at right now. But 762. All right, now let's see let's see here, the 3018 from 762 to 150. Big difference. Now, why do I say to put in 150 here? Because that is your base feed rate. That's what you put in here. That's your starting point. Everything that happens after that is controlled with your feed override. So in other words, like I said, if people are carving in manual and they do not touch the feed override, they're running at 150 millimeters a minute. And I just had a person the other day do that, and guess what? It was so slow that he burned up his tool. You could see it scorched all the way around the whole carving was scorched. And his feed rate was too slow and his RPMs were too high. With a 3018, you can't do anything with your RPMs. Okay? So it's your feed rate that you have to compensate with. So, like I said, the reason I put 150 in here is because of this. Once you start carving and this feed override comes up here, it's going to say feed override 150 millimeters per minute. It's going to show what you put in there. Okay. Now, just to tell you, for example, on my machine with the upgraded spindle, okay, on my machine with the upgraded spindle, in Easel there, okay, so with my upgraded machine in cut settings, I have 200 here. And there's times where I've had it up to 300. Okay? Now, in your feed override, by using the plus and the minus signs on your feed override, you can actually increase your total feed rate by 200%. Okay? Now, so when your machine's running, it starts running, you're going to have 150 there. If you are running a tiny tool and you could be afraid that it might break, or let me put it this way, you see that it's carving okay, but that tiny tool is heading for a knot. You can go up here to your feed rate and knock it down, hit the minus sign. You can knock it down, I believe, almost to zero, if not zero. I'm not sure. I've never gone that far down, but I always go up from 150. Now, 200% from 150, that's 300 millimeters a minute. And guess what? When you take in consideration the standard 3018, 300 millimeters per minute is sufficient for that machine. That's kind of like maxed out right there, depending on the tools you use. If you're using those tools, those that come 10 of them in a pack for $15, that feed rate's great. And you will probably find out that with those 1/8-inch tools, the down or the upcuts, 1/8-inch with the blue colored ones that you get 10 in a pack, you're going to probably find that with your RPM speed that you cannot change at 9,000 RPMs, a feed rate of around between 250 and 275. And when you tweak slowly up, you will hear your machine telling you, hey, I'm liking that. Hey, I'm liking that even more. Come on, keep going up a little bit. I think I'm going to really like this. That's how your machine talks to you. One more thing I want to mention before I go over to the drawing area is I've told people, I've said, look, about placing clamps. If you're going to place a clamp somewhere, okay, on your machine, I tell people, run a simulation. Run a simulation and it will show you where to put your clamps. Okay, so I run a simulation. Oh, and why this is doing this, I was going to tell you another thing. Today I've been working on my GoPro and getting it all set up so that I can do my live streams here in my group, or on YouTube with the new GoPro. Hopefully with a new microphone, it'll be better quality also. A lot of cutting here. So, like I said, I am really, really excited about my YouTube channel. I'm going to be putting a lot of work into it. Okay, so now people say, well, it doesn't show where to put clamps. No, it doesn't. But it darn sure tells you where not to put them. For example, you don't want to put a clamp here. You want to put a clamp here. I'd put a clamp right here on the side here. I see it's completely clear there. Now, one thing you also have to think of, if you put a clamp here, okay, and it's very close to that edge, your tool won't hit it, but your collet might. Okay, I mean, I'm talking, let me just see how much that is. I can tell you right now. That is almost 10 millimeters out from the center of the tool out to the edge of the collet is 10 millimeters. So as your tool is cutting here around this edge and your clamp is right here, your collet can hit it. And that will ruin your day. Because if it loses steps, everything's knocked off. Okay? So if this was my project, I would put one clamp right here, and I would put one clamp right here. And I might put another clamp right here just for grins. Okay? All right. Let's get over to this. I'm gonna pull up my Untitled one. So that we can work with simple things. And let me see here. There. Okay. Good enough for government work. And I'm just going to slide this over here for now because we're not going to need the preview right now. We're going to work with what we have right here. Okay. And I'm just going to say real quick here, I'm going to change my material size real quick. I'm going to change that to 200. Enter, and 100. Okay. There. Now I can enlarge it again and move it over and enlarge it again a couple times and get it so I have one less. There we go. And I want to get it right where I can see all my numbers clearly and have a good space to work. All right, I'm going to grab, right now I'm going to grab a circle and move it over here. I'm going to grab a square because on a lot of these apps, you have to have something that you can highlight. And let me just make a little bit smaller. And I'm not going to go in on how to make them small or anything like that because that's what I covered in my earlier Easel programs. Right. So here, you know this one. This is all your shapes right here. Square, circle, triangle, star. Simple, simple, simple. Here, edit or line tool. I don't know if you can see it or not, but there's a tiny circle on the end of my mouse. To use the line tool, you click on it once and you pull it out. It kind of glues the line where it's supposed to be. Now, you see how it turned red? That's because it's completely horizontal. If I go vertical, watch, boom, it'll turn red there. Okay? So that's red there. All right. So you pull it wherever you want there and click. And then when you pull it wherever you want, click. And then you pull it wherever you want, click. Okay? So there's my object right there. And then, if I want, which I taught last week, was you can edit the points. Once, as soon as you click edit points, you get circles here. Now, if I click on this circle here, it's going to tell me it's not a straight, but it's a sharp corner. They call it straight. I would say it's a sharp corner. It is not a curved corner. Now watch what happens when because that light, that blue light is on, I click on there. I can, and then I can grab that ball and I can pull it, do anything I want with it, really. And then the cool thing is, from that ball, you have a right and a left. The right controls this line from here to here, and that one controls to here to there. So I can pull this around as I want. Pull it. I can do whatever I want. Anyways, I'm not going to go any more into that. Okay. And your line tool, that's all really, that's all you have to do is play with it and learn how to draw. And now what I did here is I clicked once. I'm sorry, I got to click on line tool. I click once, I pull it down wherever I want it, and double click it. That's how you do a single line. Okay? And you can see over here, that's what it looks like. Right? And these are all very deep right now, but it's okay to show, to be able to see it. I'm going to change my bit tool, or my tool, down to a little bit smaller one so it's easier to see. Millimeters. And again, I will help anyone for free. I will do one-on-one live via Facebook Messenger, and I will help anyone for free. But I'm going to tell you one secret. I will not help in inches. If you come to me and you have problems with inches, I mean with your project and everything is in inches, then you better change. If you're going to ask me for help, then you better change it over to millimeters, because I will not discuss inches, because inches are the most ridiculous thing. I mean, there's only 3 countries in the world that use it, and two countries are third world countries in Africa and the United States. So there you go. That's still too small. Let me see. 1.1. There we go. That was better. 1 millimeter. Okay. So, anyways, we're over here. We're talking about all this stuff over here. Okay? Now, we've just talked about the line tool. Very simple. This is for a drill hole. If you want to make a hole. And what it will do is it'll make a hole the size of your tool. It will just plunge it. And obviously, you set the depth of it. Okay? So, I can pull this around and hit enter there. Let me see. no, there's something ain't kosher here. There might be, because before you would move it to a place and just click enter, I believe, and it would make. I never use it really, but it's a nice function if you want to make a bunch of holes. For example, for a cribbage board, this is what you would use here. But I don't know if there's something wrong with the software or what. Okay, let me see here. And let me just see over here if those holes are there. Yeah, yeah. There's the holes right there. Okay. So that's how you make holes. And it just basically plunges down and then comes back up again to the from the depth that you put in it. Okay. All right. Next, fonts. We can talk a little bit about fonts here. And fonts are, some of them are very, very, very cool. Some of them are very cool. And now when I scroll through these fonts, you're going to see a lot. Well, here you see them. These are all the pro fonts. This is a regular one, and then I come down. We see regular, in between there. I mean, but there's still, for the free version, there's a lot of cool fonts. But there's even more on the pro. Now, I like this one here, actually, the Homestead. But I'm just going to, right now, I'm going to just take away this square. I mean, the circle. Delete. And I'm going to take away the square. Delete. Okay. And I'm going to take the fonts. And I'm going to take Homestead. Okay. I'm done with that. I'm going to move it up here. Okay. Now I'm going to highlight. I'm going to just get rid of this. I don't need that. And now I'm going to just take another font. And let me see here. Let me just look here for a second. Oh, that was that was all capitals, so don't need that. Okay, test there. I click away. I'm going to click this. I'm going to pull it over here a little bit. And I'm going to shrink it up just a little bit. Okay, and then I'm going to grab one more here. And this one here be a good one. This one here would be a good one for. I want to try. I want to find another one that's really, really, really thin. Okay. Because the thing, I'll tell you, the thing with these fonts that you have to really be careful with is you're going to have to adjust your tooling to be able to cut the fonts. Okay. All right. So now we have, I'm going to use my arrow keys now to move it down. That's good. That's good. All right. Okay. So, oh, somebody's calling me. Let's see. Oh, I hate this when somebody calls me right in the middle of something. Well, anyways, they're gone. Good. Good. It was probably a telemarketer. Anyways. So, we got these three texts, okay? And right now, I'm going to put in a 1/8 inch tool, okay? And you'll see here, move it over. Now you see, this is a pretty big sign. It's 200 millimeters by 100 millimeters. And you can see here that all of the text is cut out. Let me just run a simulation real quick. Oh, that's what it was. If you don't run the simulation, I'm going to show you what happened. What happened was this. In tool bit, I had 1 millimeter tool. 1 millimeter tool. Okay, and we were playing around with all this, all the drawings and everything, and then we came over here, and this is what it looked. I mean, let me see. It's when you put the text down, it'll show up, but it's not going to show up right until you simulate. So now, if I simulate now, this is with a 1 millimeter tool, which is small. Okay. All right. There again, where not to put your clamps. Okay. You don't want to put a clamp there, and you don't want to put a clamp here. Okay. So, and here's your holes. That's why it goes over there to do the holes. All right. Okay. So what I'm gonna do now is I'm gonna say edit, highlight, select all, and I'm just gonna make it smaller. Okay. And I'm gonna move it down. And now you see here, look at that. The text looked fine. The text looked fine when I'm messing around with a drawing. Look at that. Watch what happens now when I simulate. How do you like them apples? Huh? Now you see the different text. What happens? You're an 1/8 inch tool will cut that out beautifully, and then the 1 millimeter will clean it out. The test, let me see here, and it's 1 hour and 15 minutes. 1 hour 15 minutes to run it. Okay, so you see the difference by using the different texts. Now, what I do is I start in bit, and I'll go down to where I'm able to see all the text. One tool, just to do it. So I'll put in 0.5. I mean, that is a tiny tool. Okay? And look at that. That text there is so small, it's still not going to work. It's still not going to work. And that is a tiny 0.5 tool. So if you were going to carve out this thing here, what I would do is this drawing here, this drawing right here, I'm just going to get rid of these dots. Don't need them. Don't need those holes there. Okay. So, let me get rid of this here too. Get rid of clutter. Okay, now I have to hold down my shift. I highlighted one, and if I'm going to highlight this one, I try that. And let's see what happens. Delete. And I didn't get that one because every time you highlight something and then click on something else, that one goes away. But it doesn't do it if you hold your shift key down. Okay? All right. We have these. I want to carve this exactly the way it is. So, what I would do is this. Watch this. I go to project, and I come down here and I say make a copy. And this is very important whenever you're going to do a big project. Don't do it all at once. I mean, because you're going to be messing with big tools, small tools. You're going to keep it simple. Make copies. You can make as many copies as your heart desires. Okay? But make a copy or several copies. I'm just going to show you, and I know people in the group have seen this 1,000 times. When I did that engraving or that inlays right there, how many copies do you think I made? Well, I made one copy for each object. And my objects there are Paul is one object, Buffy is another object, the heart is one object, yin yang is an object, the peace sign is an object, and the scroll work is an object. Let me move it down a little bit so you can see it instead of stealing it from you. Okay? So, what I did when I created this is how it looked on the screen. And once I was happy with my placement and everything, and square and everything, okay, I made 6 copies so that I could work with this object by itself. When I would pull in I started with Paul. So I pulled the whole project in. And then what I did was I went in here and clicked on that, deleted, clicked on that, deleted, clicked on Buffy, deleted, clicked on the peace sign, deleted it, and the scroll work, and I deleted it. I did not move my name on the screen. You have to, I mean, if you move it, you done screwed it up. And if you move it, you didn't screw it up. You just go up to edit and undo it. Okay? So you're working. Now, I would not want to work as one project. I would not want to work with letters this big and that scroll work that small. You're making it hard on yourself. So with these 6 copies, I worked on the heart by itself. I worked on the yin yang all by itself. I worked on Buffy by itself, the peace sign, and the scroll work. Okay? Now, back over here. So here, you have a couple options. We made one copy. We made one copy of it. Okay? And so what I would do, and I'll show you here. Let's see. You see there? There's 2 copies. So I take this one here, and I can take and delete that, and I hold my shift key down so I can delete this or highlight this one too. There. And I just hit delete. I do not move this. Okay? I do not move it. I can highlight it, and I can adjust the depth of it, which I'm going to do. And I find that normally, I'm going to just type it in down here. I find that normally 1.7 millimeters is a nice depth for carving. It doesn't look like it it doesn't look like it on your preview, but it is deceiving. Let me tell you, 1.7 millimeters text carved out looks beautiful. When you start carving deeper, what happens there is you start breaking out small pieces of wood in between the letters and stuff. The deeper you go, the more detail you lose. Okay? And the deeper you go, the more time it takes. And the deeper you go, the more stress you put on your machine and tool. Okay? Now, with that being said, you also have to think about if you're gonna cut this out just to look nice on a piece of wood. Hey, that's fine. That's fine. But if you were going to do this as an inlay, well, guess what? Now, let me see here. Now, this is a. Oh, let me change this here to. Let me change this tool to a 1, or let me just change it to a 1A, 3.175, which is around, do it simple way. Click on 1/8 tool. That's that test right there with an 1/8 tool. Okay, so we do have to have a second tool, and so I start out. Remember, 3.175, or well, 3.2. Let's just say that is 1/8 of an inch. Let's try 2 millimeters and see how much better it looks. Put it in millimeters first, and then here, and then type in 2, and then enter. Okay, we're getting there. We're getting there. But if you look at the corners here over on the drawing, they are square, completely 100% square corners. If you are going to do an inlay, look at here again. A square corner will not go into that radius. Okay? So, the tool that I have found, well, I have a 0.8 millimeter, one of those cheapo tools, which I used a lot, 1.8 millimeters. And now these corners are, let me you can see here, it is so minute. The radius is 0.4 millimeters. Okay? 0.4. And a square corner will go in there. I know it will because I've done it. All right. A 0.8 millimeter, the smallest one in that box of 10, will work. All right. Now, you could cut this out as a two-tool job. Let's simulate it. Okay, so that this job here is going to take 1 hour and 7 minutes at cutting at 150 millimeters a minute. What happens when you jack up your feed rate? That time's going to go way down. Okay? What was this? Oh, this is new too. Check this out. You see here, wasteboard, which is your background. You can turn it on and off. Material. I can turn my material off and just show the carving. Tool paths, I have that on. I can turn it off. You won't see the tool paths, but I'd like to see them. And then you can also have uncut areas. So I turned that on. Let's just see here what happens when I delete this. Let's see what happens. Ah, look at there. That is really cool. This is all, on these letters, this is all an 1/8" tool can cut right there. Okay? Now, we're going to add that 0.8 millimeters. There we go. Now, watch this. See there? It's showing the radiuses. It's showing the radiuses that are not going to be cut. Really, that is really cool. I like that. I like that. I like that a lot. That will help a lot of people determining how to determine tools to use. Okay? Now, with that tool setup, let's just do this for a second. Go over here. Okay. Let's see our tools now. I got this one here was an 1/8". 1/8", and my finishing tool is a millimeters, and it is a 0.8. Enter. Okay, what do you think it's going to look like behind here now? Huh? Look at that, huh? Oh, looks beautiful, doesn't it? Wait. Sweet, merciful Jesus. You just ruined a nice piece of wood. Okay? All right. And. Now let's see here. On this one here, I want to click on uncut areas. Now look at there. Now you can see how much of this. Look at this. It won't cut that or that or that or that. This is a really, really cool function. Now I'm going to leave this right there like that. Now I'm going to change my 0.8 to 0.5. Okay, enter. All right. Okay, oh, let's see what happens. Simulate. And smaller, there's less places that aren't cut, but it is not small enough. And a 0.5, I'm going to tell you what, I'll almost guarantee you you'll break it. 0.5 is not much more than a hair, okay? Really, I mean, they are super thin, super small. All right, how would I carve this out then? What's the best way to carve this out? How about we use a little bit of imagination? We use a little bit of imagination and we don't cut it out. We just draw it in with a pencil. Okay? Nah, I'm just joking. Just joking. Why not use what sticks you in the finger all the time? One of these engraving tools. Okay? Now, this text here is so small. This text here is so small that I want to do it. I want to do it with the engraving tool because even my 0.5 millimeter doesn't cut it. Okay, so you're kind of SOL. You are not going to be able to cut it. So watch this. I go over here again and I say project. I say make another copy. Right? I'll tell you, copies will keep it will make life a lot easier for you. Really, I'm serious. All right, what I'm going to do is I highlight test, delete, test here. No, not that one. That one. Delete. Okay. So now we have our text there. And we have our text here. And our depth, let's see, that should be 1.7. How deep was it? Oh, 5.1 millimeters. That's not what I ordered. 1.7 millimeters. Enter. And you see it goes up, the slider goes up to 1.7 millimeters. And you see here, the text looks really nice. Okay. I'm going to tell you a little secret. When you go real deep, now this is something that new people, 95% of the new people, the first time they carve, I think that they're thinking, their train of thought is, well, I have a CNC machine now, so I'm going to carve all the way to China. Okay? And they're carving stuff at 6 millimeters, 5 millimeters, and let me just show you something. If I can get it to show up good here. Okay? And let me move it around here a little bit. And that pocket is so deep that you know what happens is that when you're looking at that letter, that text, your eyes actually have problems focusing, which makes it look like crap. I'm serious, really. You take something and carve it at 8 millimeters deep and then carve it again at 1.7, you're going to see a big difference. Okay? Now, one thing about carving shallow. Carving, if you carve deep at 8 millimeters and it looks like crap, guess what? You got firewood. you can't put wood back. Okay? You can't put wood back. So you've done fed your fireplace. Right? So keep your cuts shallow. You will eliminate tons of time, and you will save wear and tear on your machine and your tools, and your projects will look more professional. All right. Now, one thing one thing I was also going to say, if you were to carve, let's say, just for the heck of it, if you said, oh, I want to do my carving at 1 millimeter, okay, and when it comes out, when you're done with it, and you look at it, and oh man, it's not deep enough. Well, guess what? As long as you don't move your x and y axis, you can just set a new dimension here, a new depth here, 1.7 space millimeters. Enter, and you can rerun it. Then you get it exactly the way you want. And guess what? You don't have firewood. You might get cold, but at least you're going to have a nice project. And if this was $100 piece of wood, some kind of exotic wood, let me tell you, you don't want to go messing that stuff up. A guy called me today. He wants help. He's carving into a large. I mean, to me, it looked like 3 foot by 4 foot chopping block. I don't know if he was making like a center island, but he was going to carve something in it. And that block cost $500. That's why he called me. He wanted to touch bases before he did it. All right. Now, so how do we carve this here? Let me see. Let me just see here. With that 0.5 millimeter tool, which you probably can't even get it, it's so small. Let's just see here what the time is. It really doesn't tell correctly. It says less than a minute, but I don't believe that. Anyways. So the problem is we want this text to be at 1.7 millimeters deep, but we want it all cut out. All right. What I'm going to do then is I take away my detail tool and I go in here to my bit. Now, if you do not know this, you need to get a piece of paper and a pencil right now and write down the size. Write down the size that you put in tool for this specific engraving tool. This is an engraving tool. This tool should never be used deeper than 2 millimeters. Never. This is not a milling tool. This tool is actually like to be used on acrylic, and on acrylic, you're going to get your best results, kind of something like this here. You're going to get your best results at 0.5 millimeters on acrylic deep. Your total depth, 0.5 millimeters with this tool. Now, the tool size you put in for this tool is, write this down. Go to other, millimeters, and you type in here 0.1. I repeat, 0.1 of a millimeter. That is 1/10 of a millimeter. Okay? Guess what? Look at that. I'm going to run a simulation. And I can move it down here. Now, one thing you do have to realize that it is going to be a little bit different cut. Because this here is not this is like a V bit. Okay, so the deeper you go, the wider it gets. So at one point, let me see here. At one point, now, and here, your machine thinks that it is a 0.1 millimeter cutting tool. It does not know that it's a V bit at all. So there's not going to be any compensation. And so, and like I said, you have to take into consideration that going down deeper, or down to 1.7 millimeters on this tool, I went down 1.7 millimeters and I measured the width of it, and it was 1.6, about roughly 1.6 millimeters. So when this tool is down in that depth and it's going to cut this out, these letters are going to be bigger than they're showing, because the machine doesn't know, and the machine doesn't care. The machine will never know what's in the spindle except for the size right there that you tell it. And when you set your 0 point and you have your tool down on your material, when you go through that last window before you hit carbon, it says set new 0 point. Well, guess what happens? Guess what happens? When you set that new 0 point, you say set new 0 point. You see here? This machine position is relevant if you have homing switches. If you do not have homing switches, forget this window. This, your workpiece. So when you put your tool down on your material and you go through the pilot's checklist and it says set new 0 point, as soon as you click that, guess what? You turn X to 0, Y to 0, and Z to 0, which in turn is telling the machine the length of your tool. That is how your machine is going to know the length of your tool. If you are not accurate with setting your 0 point, it's going to follow you all the time. And you will see variations. You'll have different variations in depths, and especially you'll notice it with very shallow cuts. Okay? Be exact. Use that piece of paper or use a probe. The thing with these machines, like I've told you, accuracy on these machines is 0.005 of a millimeter. That's 5 thousandths of a millimeter. So the if you're eyeballing stuff and just putting in a random number, then your machine is about as useless as tits on a bull. Okay? Now back to this. So let's say I had my piece of wood in there. I put my engraving tool in there, and I put my bit size to 0.1 millimeters. Okay? And I cut all this out. Just as it is right there. Cut it out. I do not move the wood on my machine or take it loose. And that's all I do here is I go over here, la-di-da-da-da-da-da, and I grab this one here. Let me just, I'm just going to close some of these so my machine will go a little bit faster. Okay. All right. So back to here again. Now this is already carved out. I'm finished with that. So then I can take and erase that. Boom. Erase it. Get rid of it. I don't need clutter. And I don't want to rerun anything on it. Okay? And then the next one, I can work with the next one all by itself. As long as I do not move it, I'm good to go. So I highlight it. And I say, let's see what the depth of that is, first of all. Whoa! And it should tell you the how you'll get used to the different shades of gray. And you can look at it after a while and say, that's too deep. So it's a 1 point, let me see, 1.7. Enter. All right. So now go back over here to bit. And I mean, you can run this one with the same tool. Let me put it back in here. Let me get rid of this, get rid of that, get rid of this, and come down here. And other, and millimeters. God, I wish that thing would stay on millimeters. 0.1. The only thing that's a problem with this tool that you're telling the machine it is only 1/10 of a millimeter. So the machine has to calculate everything to run that little bit to clear things out. And like here with this one here, okay? Let's do a simulation. Now remember I told you, since this is tapered, these walls are going to be bigger. Okay, they're going to be a little bit bigger. And guess what happens? Well, if your wall's a little bit bigger here, this might break out. Okay, might break out here. This here might come out here. So it's everything with milling and carving and engraving. It's a balancing act. So let's go here to, I mean, this cuts it out good. Now let's try a 0.8, 0.8. All right, let's look at that. My 0.8 doesn't cut it. It doesn't cut it. And that's basically the smallest tool I have. So I don't have any choice but to use my engraving tool again. 0.1, enter. So I'm just kind of SOL. I have to use my engraving tool. Either that or you make your text bigger. Okay? You make your text bigger, and I mean here you'll see, watch this, what an 1/8" tool does. There. What a That's 3.2. Okay, let's go down to 2 millimeters. Will that cut it? Oh, damn inches. God. I wish I'd just take that away. Oh, wait a minute. I did something over here. Let me see. Edit, undo, edit. There. Oh, I'm sorry. I don't know how that disappeared because I just been over here. So, let me see here. This is a 2 millimeter. Let's retype it just to make sure that it's correct. 2 millimeter. And you can see here that you're missing quite a few little lines. All right, let's go ahead and try 1 millimeter. What and what brought that up? Um, we're gonna go down to 1 millimeter. Enter. And we're pretty much there now. But that's big. That's big text. I mean, that's 30 millimeters. That text there is. Where is my handy dandy ruler that I had out here? Here it is. That text is. I could just look right here. Shape. The height of it is 67 millimeters. And here, I mean, you have 10, 20, 30, 40, 50, 66 millimeters. So that text is that tall. Okay? And a 1 millimeter will clear it out. But you see, now, since I moved this and changed it, I cannot use it for that project. Okay? I cannot use that for that project. What I have to do is, and I deleted, now watch this. I want to do this. Edit, undo change. Okay, watch this. Control Z. Control Z. All right, I'm going to try to. All these are all these bit changes that I did. And for some reason, what I had done was, for some reason, I don't have my original anymore. Okay, back one more. Back one. Redo. All right, no. Undo. Undo. There we go. So yeah, I backed myself all the way out of it, and now I got my original back again. Thank God, because watch. Here's the one I was just working with. I screwed up the other ones. For some reason, I had deleted it. But now that I'm glad that happened because I just showed you how you can recover. Like I said, you can't do things wrong here. And with that, guess what? I have gone way over overtime here and gone way into overtime. So I hope that everybody enjoyed what I was teaching and talking about. And oh, and the apps, the app in there, okay, with the clip art is simple. Clip art. I mean, just you use the different things and use the different cuts on them. Okay. Now, the apps, I highly recommend that you go into Inventables and go into projects. And my God, you should spend a whole day in Inventables. Click on absolutely everything. They have so much in there. Good information, videos, bits 101. A complete explanation of what tools to use for what materials. And then they even sell tools and they show you and recommend different tools. Watch it. Go to go to Inventables and click on projects. And on the left side, you'll see a whole list of all these projects. You scroll down till you see Easel live classes. You click on that and then you look on the right side and scroll down, you will find Bits 101. Click on it. Then you will scroll down, you will see a picture of some tools. Scroll down till you get the right underneath that is a video. And Mo, she is really cool. Mo, I like Mo. She's now you'd be surprised all those videos there. Now remember though, everything on Inventables is geared for the X card machine. So if you're going to do a project that's created for the X card machine, which is big format, you can either scale it down, okay, or go to something that will fit on your machine. And remember, never use the automatic settings, okay? You're going to find, I mean, and those videos in there, she has videos that explain exactly how to use the Gear app. All those apps that you have on the left-hand side of your screen, okay? All those apps when you click on the Lego brick, there are tutorial videos in Inventables that shows you exactly how to use them. Really, really. So, thank you very much for a wonderful evening. I really enjoyed doing this. I enjoy having people here that are watching. I'm just gonna see who. Okay, I have Rob Perone and Steve Morigi and Sam Dowry and Ty Owen. How's it going, man? Welcome to live chat. Remember to guard your privacy and abide better. Blah blah blah. Okay. Ty Owen. For some reason, my grandson's name. My grandson's name, not Cindy. Okay. Uh, Pete Bernard. Hi, Paul. Hi. How you doing, Pete? Hey, listen. So, anyways, I want to thank everyone for coming and joining in. And now, I have to get rid of you guys here. And I'm glad my computer is slow. Okay, here I go. End stream. All right. Have a good evening. Stay cool. And boy, I hope everybody's safe and everything down in Louisiana and everything. Okay? Be careful, everybody. Drive carefully. Behave. And don't hassle anybody because maybe they're having a bad day too. All right? All right. Bye.